What's up? It's me, Deepak. Welcome back to the channel. So today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I wanted to show you guys how I edited this picture right over here. This picture got a little bit of traction, especially with me and my friends saying that it's not exactly supercar photography or anything like that, but I think the picture turned out pretty great. So I wanted to share with you how I edited this picture really quick, really easy, using one software, which is Luminar AI. Now this software is mind-blowing. I swear to God, like the things that you can do using this software, it is crazy, especially if you are somebody who is just starting out in photography. You don't really know how to edit your photos well. You might think Lightroom is a little bit daunting to you. Any other software or programs you're not really keen or comfortable using, trust me, Luminar AI is going to blow your mind, boy. It is so good, so simple, and it's super user friendly, and honestly anybody can do it. Take it from me, I've only started photography like what, during the mid of lockdown last year, and you know, when Luminar AI came out, it was just the best thing that could ever happen because it made editing super simple. So let's just jump right into it. You're gonna have to open up Luminar AI. This is what it looks like. You can add, you know, different sort of albums to it. So this is some of the pictures that I took in Dubai. So this is the picture that we're going to be editing today. I'm going to show you, and it's going to take honestly no time at all. So once you have the picture that you want, you can either click this edit button or this button. But before we go into the edits, I want to show you the templates that these guys have, right? So when you get into Luminar AI's main page, what you're going to see is all these recommendations from Luminar AI telling you exactly what you should be doing. So Luminar basically thinks that I should either be using landscape, blockbuster, or filmatic sort of filters or sort of templates, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under landscape, I'm going to go under easy landscape, and I'm going to hit clean light, right? So just like that, I think the picture looks pretty much sorted actually. But we're going to take it a step further. So now that you can see that we have these people in the background, I've just basically erased that, and this is going to be our baseline on how we're going to start our edit. Once you have your selected filter or template, quickly jump into edit. Now the thing that I want to show you guys that is just going to blow your mind, like I said again and again, this shit is crazy. Hit this creative tab and go into Sky AI. Right, now under the Sky AI, what I want you guys to select for this specific picture is going to be Sunset 1. And just look at how different this whole picture already turns out. See, before we had this beaming sunlight in the background, really overexposed, really blown out, and just like that, I have just completely changed the sky. It looks honestly pretty good. What you can do is I'm just going to try to reposition my sky just to make it look a little bit more believable. I think that looks good. Probably going to relight the scene. So the higher you scroll this, the darker it's going to get. The less you scroll, the lighter it's going to get. I think just about that is good enough. Horizon blending, I'm just going to blend the sky that we put in with the original sky that is in the picture. Sky, what the hell is sky? Sky global is just basically, let's see what it does. So it enhances the back sky. So that's what you're going to do. Other than that, I'm just going to close the gaps between the you know, AI sky and the current sky that we have, increase the sky focus a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop the temperature of the sky just a tad bit, and I am going to slightly drop the exposure of the sky as well. I think the sky global might need to come down a little bit. Horizon blending come down a little bit. And I'm just going to defocus the sky a tad bit. Just a smidge. and already you have something that looks pretty good. Now in toning, I'm honestly not going to mess too much with the toning. I think the toning looks good. This is based off of the template, so that being that, cool. So what I'm going to do now is go into the Essentials tab. Now for composition, I'm just going to select 4x5, and you can reposition your image however you want. 4x5 is going to work pretty much amazing on your Instagram crop, so I'm going to leave it at 4x5. That looks perfect. Now if we hit the light tab, so I think I'm not going to mess around too much with the temperature or the tint. I'm just going to drop the exposure ever so slightly. Yep, that is good. Now this smart contrast tab is something really cool. Like, it is smart. It is not going to blow your picture out too bad. So honestly, when it comes to contrast, a little goes a long way. So smart contrast, I'm just going to leave it at about 29. I'm just going to bump up the highlights just a bit, and I'm going to increase the shadows just a bit as well. I think that looks good. I'm going to reduce the whites in the background, and I'm going to up the blacks just a bit. So already you can see the picture looks pretty good as is. So now enhance AI. This thing is whack. So if I bring it up all the way, it's going to, yeah, it's just going to enhance the picture however much it wants to, right? So I think just about that would be good. Sky enhancer is just going to enhance your sky. I think we can just leave it a little bit dark. Now as for structure basically messes up your whole image, okay? So don't use too much. In this image, I'm honestly not going to use anything. Let's come down to our color tab. So color tab, what I want to do is just slightly remove some saturation in the picture. I'm just going to reduce the vibrance just a tad bit, and I'm going to remove some color cast. So let's see what this color cast does. So the color cast, honestly shit, I'm going to increase a little bit more on this. This is good. So color cast, I'm going to bring it up till about there. Now let's go to the HSL tab. Now HSL, if you guys have been using any sort of editing software, even on your phone, so if you guys have dealt with Lightroom, so these are the same things that are in Luminar AI as well. So what I'm going to do under the color tab is I'm going to select my hue. Reds, I'm going to leave it as it is. Orange, I'm just going to bring it a little bit more. On the orange side, I'm going to drop the yellows. Now this is too yellow. I'm going to bring it down to a little bit more of an orange. Green can just get out. Cyan, let's see what cyan does. Cyan I think is good. Blue, okay. So blue right now affects the sky as well as the top of the car. So I'm not going to mess around too much with the blues, just bring it down just a little bit. Purple and magenta is fine. Now the hue shift is going to mess up your image in like, oh my, holy shit. So if you keep doing this and if you drop acid, you're going to have one hell of a trip. But for hue shift, honestly, I'm just going to leave it at about -4. I think that works pretty good. -11, -9. Yeah, so for hue shift, I'm just going to leave it at around -7. I think -7 looks good. Right, so I think we're done with the hue. Let's go on to saturation. So for the saturation on the orange, I just want to bring it down just a bit. I'm going to bring up the yellows. So if I remove the yellows, it looks kind of pale. So I'm just going to bring up the yellows a bit. I am going to reduce the saturation of the blue, so the sky looks a little bit more. So the sky looks a little bit more gloomy, a little bit more dramatic. So the sky looks a little bit more gloomy, a little bit more dramatic, my style. And I'm not going to touch the purple or magenta. Let's check out the luminance. For the luminance for blue, I don't want to make it too bright. I want to bring this thing down. And I mean, just right now, look at the picture. Like, this is what we started off with, and this is where we are. I think this picture looks badass. So done with the luminance, done with the color. Now we're just going to go to the details. So for the details, you can just play around with this and it's going to mess everything up. But what I want to do is I just want to focus on the car. I want to bring out the details in the car. right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint mask, and you can see here if you hit this. So if you can see here, if you hit this, you get to show your marks. So I'm just going to use my radius just about there, and I am going to start painting in over my car because I want to bring out the sharpness in the car. So the reason why you do this to increase the sharpness in your car is because you want your car to pop. You want it to stand out in the image and not just blend in the background. Like, you want the viewer's eyes to just catch it immediately. So this is what I'm gonna do. Honestly, this is a shit job. Take your time doing this. There's no rush in it, right? So from here, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase the small details, increase some a bit of the medium details, and increase some of the large details. Now, already you can see that the car is starting to stand out a little bit more. If I just add a little bit more sharpening to it, I want to increase the protection of my mask. Details masking is up there. Sharpening mask I'm not going to touch. And if I turn this off, you can see that the car is what it is from the beginning. And now when you turn it on, the car tends to pop out just a little bit more. And that just gives it a little bit more, you know. So I think, you know, this is going pretty easy, pretty good. So for denoise, what you can do if your picture is not shot on RAW, guys, it's 2021, shoot RAW. You guys are having all the latest iPhones. In fact, screw the iPhones for a minute, even though that I'm using one. Any phone at the moment, you can download any third-party app. Heck, if you download even the Moment app or the Lightroom app that you can use for free right now, you can still take raw images, and it's fantastic. Raw basically helps you keep all that details, and you just have a lot more to play with. So from luminosity, denoise, I'm just going to try to see if there's any noise there. Color denoise, bump it up a bit. I think so far that looks pretty good. And to be honest with you, I think this picture is more or less done. Before, after. This shit looks amazing in my opinion, and all it took was what, 5 minutes to do this? So honestly, if you think that this image is good enough as it is, you're done. You don't even have to worry about it anymore. Done, finish. But if you want to take it a step further, you can. So all you have to do is you got to go into the professional tab, and you want to hit the dodge and burn. So dodge and burn is basically something you have to do very, very subtly, not too much. I'm going to show you exactly how too much can be too much, right? So basically you have your brush size here, and now again, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring up the exposure, lighten the car picture a little bit. So if I start brushing over this car, as you can see, the car starts to get a little bit brighter. Now in my opinion, this car is becoming a little bit too bright for my liking. So I'm just going to show you how you can basically fix that. It's not rocket science, it's really, really simple using Luminar AI. So right now the car is lightened pretty much. What you can do is go on to the overall amount and just play around with it, and you can reduce it. So this is way too bright, way too dark, just about there, looks good. And honestly, you're done. If you want to take it a step further, you are done. So before and after, you're good. It even has this nice slider bar that you can check. And I'm sure you've seen it on so many YouTubers' channels and Instagram pages and all that these guys love to do this. So you can play around with the slider. If you're happy, you can see what the after image is, what it was before, and you are done. Here's the interesting thing. If you have Lightroom installed on your PC or MacBook, you can basically open this in Lightroom. So let me show you what exactly you can do within Lightroom. So I have it here open in Lightroom. And what I'm gonna do is, for me, pretty basic. I just want to put a graduated filter at the bottom, drop my exposure, bring some more sort of attention towards the car, drop a graduated filter from the top, just right about there, increase the exposure just a bit, don't want to make it too crazy, bump up the contrast, increase the clarity of it a little bit, bump up the saturation, slight dehaze on it. Maybe I'll just pull this a little bit back, grab my radial filter, chuck it over the car. Just make sure that it's in line with how the car is being positioned. You want to invert this, and there you go. Just got to increase the exposure on it just a tad bit. If you want, the whites can come out. You can drop the whites a little bit, and there you have it. That is your final image. So that's it, guys. That's exactly how I edit my photo that you saw on my Instagram. Honestly, all that it took was 5 minutes messing around with Luminar AI. This shit is powerful and it does so much of the thinking for you. Honestly, if you are somebody who's new, you don't know much about editing, this is the application that you want to be using. This is the software that you should be meddling around with it. Honestly, it's a one-time purchase for you guys here in Malaysia. I think it's only about 240, 260 ringgit for a one-time purchase. Lifetime, you're done, you're set, you're good to go. As you can see, there are so much more that I could have done within Luminar itself, but honestly, sometimes over editing messes up your picture more than it helps it. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So if you like this content, or if you like this type of videos that I'm trying to do, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys want to know more about Luminar AI, let me know. I'll be more than happy to share more tutorials. I want you guys to send me some of your raw images and let me have a crack at editing them. I think it's going to be super fun. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.